back in action and all, and I guess for the first part, we better start off with just recapping basically the month of September. That's kind of how long it's been. There's only been, some couple things have been happening here, so into this here. So we can talk about UFC Fight Night, the review, the main event, Rockhold versus David Branch. How did you think the fight went? How did Rockhold look to you after, a year layoff? And I guess, where does he go from here?
He looked good, man. I mean, I find myself to be a Rockhold hater, but you got to respect anybody in the sport. There's being a fan, and then there's being realistic. So I mean, he looked really good. To be able to stop someone like David Branch, who was looking pretty high on his career was definitely on the incline, and just got put to a halt. Submission by strikes. You don't see that often anymore. I feel like it's gotten to a point where either the ref finds a way to stop it before then, or you see the fighter take it until they can't anymore. But definitely something I was fairly impressed about, to have seen Rockhold finish him via strikes and not even have to go for the submission. He looked good. I don't know who I want to see him fight next, because I don't want to see a rematch. But if I want to say, I guess I could, I don't know. Who could he fight? Because Sousa, Romero, Bisping's obviously booked. So it's like any fight that's imminent is going to be a rematch. The only other one I can see, is maybe the winner of Machida and Brunson, especially since that fight's kind of on the horizon. But I think the only other one is if Brad Tavares is able to get a nice win against I think he's fighting Talizlitis on 216. If he's able to if he's able to win that, I think that would be I don't know if I want to see Talizlitis fight Rockhold, but I think it'd be nice to put Tavares back into the frying pan, because he's looked pretty good, minus a few hiccups, but he's just somebody I guess maybe I'm pulling a little personal for, because I'm a little bit of a fan of his, but that's one that I'd like to see him fight, one of those two winners.
Right, very true. It's like, unless your name is like Anthony Rumble Johnson, normally people don't tap out to strikes. If it's Johnson,
right.
Of course that's going to happen. So, real impressive to Rockhold. Rockhold's one of those guys, if you just, muted the TV and you had, anybody that wasn't even, a fan of the UFC, and, which guy do you look like a mixed martial artist just by the way he fights, he'd definitely be one of the people that's up there, man. He really has all the goods. After really watching it, just really pissed me off that somehow he had to underestimate Bisping and lose, and it led to all this huge cluster, whatever. It kind of makes you, kind of think, what would have happened if Rockhold was still champion, if GSP would actually have chose Rockhold to fight, or if it was like, no, I'm going to stick to Woodley. You know what I mean? Because I'm like,
right.
Bisping, I'd be like, all right, I'll go for Bisping after a 3-year layoff. With Rockhold, I'd be like, let me just stick to my weight class. But
right.
Something like what you're saying, because for his next opponent, it kind of would have to be a David Branch of some sorts, because I believe he's ranked number 3. Branch was
8.
ranked number 9. Yeah, number 8 or number 9, and there's pretty much everyone's tied up or coming off a loss. So unless somehow, I guess there might be, if there's like a pullout in November.
A Weidman, maybe the Chris Weidman matchup, maybe.
Rematch,
the rematch. Yeah, I mean, I guess, Chris Weidman looked good in his last fight. It'd be nice to see them go at it again, but it was just so one-sided that it's like, I that's why I'm going all the way down to number 13, 14 on the rankings for a matchup, because anything else is just going to be a rematch, which I don't mind seeing a rematch if it makes sense, but all the rematches, I mean, the closest one that would make sense would, I guess, be him and Jacare, because that's the only one that wasn't a really one-sided affair. That was a close fight, and, if they run it back, I might even lean Sousa's way, but that would be the only one that really intrigues me.
See, this would be an easy answer. All we would have to say is Gegard Mousasi, but of course he
No.
left. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That'd be like
That's
perfect.
exactly. I keep on trying not to bring his name up into the fold, almost thinking he's still there.
I should have done like 170. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe Lorenz Larkin or Roy McDonald. Oh yeah, that's right. They flew the coop.
Yeah.
But speaking of rematches, and this is something I would like you to rant on, since hey, we here at the Weigh-In we deal with UFC mainly, but we also deal with combat sports in general. And there was a huge, supposed to be the real boxing fight between Triple G and Canelo. I will not lie, it was the same night as the UFC fight night. I did not actually see it. I just heard about the controversy as far as it being supposedly being one-sided, yet it was scored a draw. Would you like to talk about whoever this judge is and how you felt about it, and is this a highway robbery or was this fair?
I mean, I'll tell you what. If the score was for Canelo and it wasn't 118-110, criticizing the draw or the judge wouldn't be anything in question. I actually had I judged the fight watching it live, and I had Canelo losing 5-7, and the closest that I could have it in one of those last few rounds is edging Canelo one more and a 6-6 draw, which is what one of the judges scored. One of the judges scored GGG winning by 2 rounds, and then the other had it a blowout for Canelo. I rewatched a little bit of the fight, and I got to admit, I can see edging Canelo a couple more rounds. Watching it with a clear head, watching it by myself, where I'm not in a crowd with some buddies drinking and stuff. I'm not in a party environment. I gotta say, I can see it because Canelo definitely was the more crisp boxer. Triple G was willing to take damage to go in and put damage of his own. So it's difficult on how you score that. Do you score that for the defense, or do you score it for the aggression? So if Canelo's dodging punches and making shots, Triple G is taking shots and making shots, how do you go about judging it? I still kind of default to a draw or 1-round edge either way. Super close fight and a really great fight. I mean, for how surprisingly good McGregor and Mayweather was, this fight was still better. I mean, just especially for boxing purists too. I mean, I've watched boxing since I was little, so I love all combat sports. But it was a great bout. Like, I mean, just back and forth. It was almost like one guy started to get the advantage, and then the other guy was stealing it away, or just neither one of them gave up throughout the entire bout. Very, very competitive. I have no problem with a rematch. A lot of people, you see these robberies, and you're like, no, man, this is all for the money. These rematches are BS. This is one that I am excited. If they book a rematch, I'll definitely buy the pay-per-view again and go ahead and do everything that I want to.
Definitely. One person that's definitely excited for the rematch, knowing that it came to a draw, is Oscar De La Hoya. He's probably somewhere in the back, like, yes, a draw. I get to put this fight on again.
Right.
But
right.
I agree with you as well. It's kind of like, with battle rap. Sometimes you watch the first time, you might watch it under, the influence of something. You got your buddies around, so you might miss a little bit of it, and the stream might be lacking. So you think someone won or someone won such and such round, but it looks completely different when you kind of watch it again, when you're like clear-headed and you're like, okay, I'm actually watching this thing. So I can see how there's like a diverse scoring, although I guess that was a little bit over the top. They thought of that one, I guess it was a female judge that scored it for Canelo. But, I'll watch the rematch. Let's get real. I didn't watch the first one. I'll watch the second one. And, I'm excited to see them go at it again. A little side note, I'm not sure with the Bellator event if you watched it yesterday, but the first matchup that they had, the referee that was reffing was Josh Rosenthal. You remember Josh Rosenthal?
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
He's back in action.
Look at that. It's a bad...
Yeah, for the viewers that don't know, Josh Rosenthal used to ref for the UFC back in 2013. He ended up getting banned because him and a coworker had a warehouse that was full of 1,300 marijuana plants. So
yeah,
he was like put in jail or on probation for like 3 or 4 years. So I guess it's finally up since it's 2017. But it's just funny because, you know, that happened, which was supposed to be a crazy thing. It was like a drug street valued at $6 million. But now, you know, it's recreational in California to have what he had. He was like pretty much ahead of the times. You know what I mean? Now they have medicinal marijuana farms or whatever, pharmacies everywhere. So it's no big of a deal. So I'm glad that he's back. I thought he was a good ref to begin with. But I'd be pissed for, you know, him and the likes of those people that went to jail for like 20 years for weed, knowing that it's like recreational now. But I just want to throw that out as a snap topple fact.
right. Josh Rosenthal is back.